The Fort Erie Podcast with Brent Jones. Brent Jones starts now.
Hey, that is me. I'm Brent Jones. Welcome to episode 71 of the Fort Erie Podcast. It's Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, and that means that yesterday was Thanksgiving. I hope you had a happy turkey day. I'm not going to lie, turkey's not my favorite. I eat it probably just twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's about enough for me. But hopefully you had your fill of turkey. Hopefully you had a lot of things to be thankful for. I just had a question to kick off today's episode. I'm just wondering, do you ever stop, dear listener, to give thanks for the metric system? I ask because today is National Metric Day, recognized on 10/10 every year. You know, it's the metric system divided into tens. On 10/10, we recognize National Metric Day. It's a day to celebrate the metric system, its history, and its benefits. It says here in this article I'm reading online. Yeah, Canadians, we sure love to pretend that we use the metric system, don't we? I mean, sure, we talk about speed and distance and kilometers, and your jug of juice that you just bought at the store is probably measured in milliliters or liters, but you know, when you watch a CFL game, is it 10 meters to a first down? Pretty sure it's still 10 yards last time I checked. And if if I'm showing you a home and you ask me, hey, Brent, how big is this house? I'm not going to tell you in square meters. I'm going to tell you in square feet because that's the number we all use. In fact, I'll give you the lot dimensions in feet. I'll also tell you how much of an acre, if it's a half an acre, 1 acre. Another great example might be if I ask you how tall you are or how much you weigh. You'll probably tell me the answer in feet and inches or in pounds. You get the idea. We have sort of this odd two-tier system in Canada. Anyway, enough of that. I promised you a big announcement today, Fort Erie, and I wasn't kidding. It is big. It's big. I promise.
Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts.
We're going to do some Fort Erie questions and answers. Today, we're going to get to your Byrd Box calls. I'm going to cover some upcoming community events, and I'm also going to debut a brand new feature today called Coming Up in the Fort Erie Observer. So we'll get to that later. I'll tell you what that's all about. But for today, my guest is going to be Theresa Murphy from Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods. If you aren't already familiar, Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods is a nonprofit organization with over 70 volunteers. They're on a mission to eradicate poverty in our town. And during my chat with Theresa, I'm going to make this big announcement. She, in fact, is going to be part of this big announcement. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but I'll give you a hint. I'm going to give you an opportunity, dear listener, to promote this podcast while also at the same time helping to feed and support your neighbors in need right here in town. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up later.
Fort Erie Questions and Answers, based on the Facebook group by the same name.
Welcome to Fort Erie Questions and Answers. This is the part of the show where I go through the Facebook group by the same name and pick out any questions and answers that I thought were especially interesting or helpful. Like this one here from Michael. Michael asks, any recommendations on the best vehicle detail service? There were a few different suggestions in the comments. Show Shine Detailing on Dominion, Ridgeway Auto Detailing, but overwhelmingly the most common response in the comments was Ray's Auto Detailing on Helena Street. Then Ashley says, I was just curious if anyone would know, would daycares take used clean toys? I'll be purging in the upcoming weeks and would like the toys to go somewhere that needs them. Thank you for any advice. There was no real consensus here in the comments. One user mentioned Trinity Lutheran Church on Byrd Street, although I can't verify if they take toy donations or not. You'd have to contact the church directly to find out. But one comment here, one person responded named Anne, and Anne said, I volunteer at Casa El Norte homeless shelter. We have a lot of children that come in with nothing, and a toy becomes their sense of security. If not this time, please keep us in mind in the future if you are looking for a place to donate. Wow. I mean, first off, it sucks to hear that there's so many children, going through the homeless shelter. I'm not too jazzed about that. But it's great that she posted this comment because it would have never occurred to me to donate gently used toys to Casa El Norte. But I'll absolutely be doing that now that I know. As my kids get older and they outgrow toys, for sure, I'd be happy to donate them to Casa El Norte. I think that's great. Debbie says, oven cleaning. Does anyone know if Easy Off oven cleaner will harm the inside of a self-cleaning oven? I don't find the self-cleaning function sufficient. I've tried Easy Off in a small area and it works. I just don't want to do any damage. Most of the people in the comments gave the correct response here, which is that they make a version of Easy Off specifically for self-cleaning ovens. So that's really what you should be using. But one person here in the comments named Roy, he responded and said, my self-cleaning oven works great. Wow, what a hero you are, Roy. Wow, great job, bud. Did you build that oven yourself? Like, should we give you a slow clap for how great it is that your self-cleaning oven works to your satisfaction? Like, get real, man. Kick rocks. Like, Debbie tells us here that she has a self-cleaning function on her oven that she's not super happy with. She's looking for advice. Rather than answer her question or contribute something useful to the conversation, you just want to brag about your own kitchen appliances. What a hero you are, bud. Great job. Thank you for that. Anyway, Katija says, I'm looking for suggestions for kid-friendly trails for fall changing foliage views in Fort Erie or Niagara as a whole. Thanks in advance. I think this is a great question, by the way, especially for newcomers to our town, because the Friendship Trail came up a bunch of times in the comments, and I love the Friendship Trail. Runs right through our town. It's a great spot to go cycling, but therein sort of lies the problem. If you're talking about kid-friendly, depending how old your kids are, how erratic they are, this is a paved trail. There's a bunch of bikes on it. I might, some of the other answers that I think were a little better in the comments would be Fort Erie Conservation Club in Stevensville. There is no membership required at the club if you just want to walk the trails, if you want to walk the grounds, as long as the gate is open, like the park is open for the day. Yeah, that'd be a great spot to take your kids to see some changing leaf colors. The other suggestion was Shagbark Park, which is on Burley Road in Ridgeway, just north of Dominion. My only suggestion is if you're going to take your family there, maybe make sure everyone's wearing long sleeves, long pants. I often, after walking through there, will find like a tick on my leg. I always check myself, my daughter for ticks before we leave there. I find there's a lot of ticks at Shagbark Park, so just keep an eye on that. But long sleeves, long pants, you should be fine. Or just give everybody a check when you get back to the car. And lastly, Kathy says, I'm looking for someone who repairs clothes dryers, please. There were 2 responses that came up more than any other in the comments. So the top responses were Chris Pollard at Appliance Answers or Bernie Ruskin at Appliance Serval.
Community events coming up in Fort Erie.
If you're on the hunt for something to do over the next couple of weeks, I've got some community events compiled here. For starters, tomorrow, October the 11th, there's a networking event happening at Little Red Coffee on Queen Street. That's going on between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning. The event is free to attend, but you will need to RSVP. On Thursday, October 12th, Service Canada is going to be at the Ridgeway Legion. It says here, for your convenience, but they conveniently don't say what exactly they're doing at the Ridgeway Legion. I guess if you want to talk to Service Canada, then head down to the Ridgeway Legion between 10 and 1 on Thursday, October 12th. On Saturday, October 14th, we got a few events going on around town. I'd like to mention for starters that the Ridgeway Farmers Market is still in full swing. Some folks around town, I think, might have the impression that the Farmers Market wraps up Labor Day weekend. Not the case, goes right into November, so stop by downtown Ridgeway between 8 and 12. Then there's going to be a meet and greet with and I'm going to butcher this author's name, Samantha Milai, I'm not sure, but meet and greet with her. She's an author and illustrator of some children's books, some other authors. They're going to be at the Fort Erie Legion for Author's Day between 11 and 3. So you can buy a book, get a sign, meet the author, that type of thing. Also happening at the Fort Erie Legion at 7 p.m. on Saturday, October 14th. You can play Catch the Ace. You have to be 18 or older. Tickets are $5 each. Or you can get them for a pack of 3 for 10 or 7 for 20. If you're not familiar with Catch the Ace, basically it works like this. Every ticket you buy gives you a guess. There's a bunch of numbered envelopes between 1 and 52. One of them's got an ace in it. If you correctly guess the right envelope and you find the ace, you win the cash from all the tickets that were used to make a guess. So basically, the longer it takes to catch the ace, the higher the amount of cash you win. It's just that easy. Also happening Saturday, October 14th, Danko Jones is performing at the Sanctuary Center for the Arts. That concert gets going at 7:30 p.m. Sunday, October 15th, you can catch a British Invasion event at the Ridgeway Legion. It says, enjoy a traditional British afternoon with entertainment by British Invasion, and $10 will get you a shepherd's pie dinner, so not too shabby. Monday, October 16th, the Crystal Ridge Community Church is hosting a social walking club. This is a weekly event. It gets going at 9:30 in the morning. You walk for an hour or so and end up at the Crystal Ball Cafe, where some of the walkers like to, grab a cup of coffee and chit-chat afterwards. Thursday, October 19th, the Douglas Heights Seniors Center is hosting an event all about emergency preparedness, cybersecurity tips, crime prevention, that type of thing. You have to register in advance. It's going on from 1 until 3 p.m. at the Douglas Heights Senior Center at 265 High Street. Saturday, October 21st, this event absolutely baffled me. The 9th U.S. Fife and Drum Corps is having a recruiting event at the Old Fort from 2 until 8 p.m. I'm not actually sure what this is. The 9th U.S. Fife and Drum Corps. I'm thinking this is like War of 1812 reenactors. Like you're going to go down and try to join the fife and drum corps, but they're all going to be in costume and you're going to like pretend that they're really recruiting you for something useful. I have no idea. If you want to find out what it is, stop by and check it out 2 until 8 p.m. on Saturday, October 21st. Also happening that day, trivia night at the Village Church in Stevensville. Doors open up at 6:30. Trivia gets going at 7. Pizza and snacks are going to be available. All ages are welcome. It's $20 per person to play, $150 for a table of 8. And the proceeds from this event go to, I believe, housing, some type of charitable housing initiative. Monday, October 23rd, you can catch a murder mystery called Midnight Massacre, Brimstone Brewing Company. If you solve the case, you win a prize. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and the show starts at 7 o'clock. The only place to get tickets is at ticketscene.ca. And lastly, I'll mention that if none of these events sound appealing to you, if you're the boring type who'd rather sit at home and watch paint dry, well, now you can. Quite literally, there is a live camera feed available of the construction site of the new hospital on Montrose. You can find it right on the Niagara Health website. Should keep you entertained for a long, long time, I'm thinking, since that hospital construction project is still 5 years out at best from being completed. So in the meantime, you can watch this camera and just try not to get sick or injured in our town after 8 p.m. when Douglas Memorial closes its doors for the night.
Coming up in the Fort Erie Observer.
This is a brand new feature I'm debuting today. It's called Coming Up in the Fort Erie Observer. And it's probably exactly what you think it is. Thanks to a great relationship I've got with Jen Wilkinson and the Fort Erie Observer. Going forward, I'm going to be able to share highlights on the Fort Erie podcast of what's coming up in the next edition of the Observer, the next edition of our local community paper before it even comes out. You get a bit of a sneak peek. Now, as a reminder, and I think most people know this, but the Observer is delivered bi-weekly by Canada Post. It goes right to your mailbox. It goes to every mailbox in town. Everybody gets it. And the next edition is going to be hitting your mailbox this Thursday, October 12th. And you'll find in this edition many of the regular features that you've come to expect from the Observer. There's the From Town Hall note penned by Mayor Wayne Redicop, the report from the region from our regional councillor, Tom Encina, and a brand new opinion piece from Owen Riel. But a few of the big features coming up in this edition of The Observer that you're going to want to check out. You can expect full coverage of Fort Erie's Unity Walk for Truth and Reconciliation. I mean, tons of people came out for this walk, participated in it. It was great to see. There's also going to be a feature on the Fort Erie residents who traveled by bus to Queen's Park for the healthcare rally at the end of September. This was organized by the Fort Erie Healthcare SOS group. You'll get to hear some of their stories. And something fun coming up in this edition. You'll read about one local family here in town that has created their own Halloween walkthrough of sorts, almost like a Halloween haunt. Fun for the kids, fun for the whole family, but it's also a chance here for the organizers to collect donations for local charities. This has been just a quick look at what's coming up in the Fort Erie Observer. Make sure to keep an eye on your mailbox this Thursday.
It's Fort Erie's answering machine, the Byrd Box.
Welcome to the Byrd Box. This is the answering machine that I have set up for the Fort Erie podcast. If you see something around town, you got something on your mind, you want to respond to something you heard on the show, you can call for any reason you want, 24 hours a day. The number's 289-599-2973, or that's 289-599-BYRD, B-Y-R-D. You leave messages, Fort Erie, and then I play them right here on the Fort Erie podcast. I'm going to start by playing a message from a past guest of the Fort Erie podcast, Lee Siegel. He's the artistic director of New Works Productions, which is a local and nonprofit theater company. They're going to be putting on a holiday show in December, and they are looking for some local sponsors. So have a listen.
Our theater company started after O Canada A, Niagara Falls, happened to close its doors thanks to, unfortunately, through the pandemic. But for the last 3 years, we've been a not-for-profit company, and we're doing 2 nights, 3 performances of a holiday sing-along show this December, and we're looking for sponsors to help raise funds. If you'd be interested, you can reach out to me by writing, send me an email at info@newworksproductions, NEWWERX productions.com.
Yeah, so that's info@newworksproductions.com, info@NEWWERXproductions.com. Great use of the Byrd Box. If you are a nonprofit and you're looking for some support from the community, you are perfectly welcome to leave a message and sort of plead your case here as Lee just did. If you or your business or somebody you know would like to help out New Works Productions, just reach out to Lee. He's a great guy, and I'm sure you guys will be able to sort something out. Now, on to a message from our next caller. Here's a lady on a mission.
A bunch of local residents are getting together trying to purchase the Ridge Film House. There is a group getting together that are trying to get money to form a corporation to purchase it and run it. It's a great little gem in Fort Erie. We should do whatever we can to support it.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Some of you will remember that a few years back, I had Pat Nao from the Ridge Film House on the Fort Erie podcast. And she's absolutely right. I mean, the Ridge Film House is a fantastic spot here in town. I for one would like to see it remain a theater and thrive again. Much like, Lee mentioned the O Canada A situation, O Canada A closes, ruined by the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, basically the same thing happened to Ridge Film House. It was like all the smaller players in the game, let's say, got absolutely crushed by this pandemic. But the only real problem I have after listening to this message is this caller doesn't mention who is trying to raise these funds, who's getting together, who's involved, how does one get involved. If anyone listening has info on this, call and leave a message. Leave a message on the Byrd Box. Let me know. I'd love to see if there's a way that I could get involved or I could help. But I'm just not really sure based on this message what exactly the call to action is. Anyway, the last message I'm going to play for today, this is a lady who used to live in Fort Erie. She called in just to talk a little bit about her feelings for this town after moving out east. Here we go.
The thing that I miss most about Fort Erie is basically the amenities. Everything's open all the time. But unfortunately with that, it's becoming a really big town like St. Catharines, but with a really small town feel. And I feel like that's taking a lot of the charm away from the Fort Erie I used to know. I miss Fort Erie dearly, and I hope to come back one day and visit, and I hope not much has changed.
Yeah, I mean, this message embodies something that I've said several times before on the Fort Erie podcast, and that's that it seems like people want our town to remain exactly the same as their earliest memory of it. You talk to people who've lived here their entire lives, 40, 50, 60 years, and, it's like, not everybody, of course, but it seems like that category, that group gets disgruntled real quick when things start to change. And then you get the people who moved here from the GTA 5 years ago, and they're suddenly upset that there's like, a new subdivision being built near them, or, something new's coming in. We're losing the small town charm. People want the town, it seems like, to remain exactly the same as their earliest memory of it. When they got here, that's when all the change was supposed to stop. But we all know the only constant is change. But if I'm being very honest, I don't think having a couple of burrito shops and a Starbucks opening up, I don't think that took away the small town charm by any stretch. I don't think so. It's still a small town, still feels like a small town. I think that's one of the best parts about living in the town of Fort Erie is that you get small town living, but you also get plenty of amenities, which is great, and very little traffic, which is a bit of a perk too. But anyway, dear caller, I hope you do make your way back. You mentioned you missed the town of Fort Erie dearly, and we miss you too. Always sad to see. I shouldn't say always, most of the time, sad to see people move out of our town. Anyway, get your messages in on the Byrd Box, folks. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to play the number here for you in just a sec in the outro, but it is time. I am going to move on now to my chat with Theresa Murphy. Big announcement coming up. You're not going to want to miss this. Hang on, here we go.
Have something you want to squawk about? Let the whole town know what's on your mind. Call the Byrd Box at 289-599-2973. That's 289-599-BYRD.
All right, joining me on the phone right now, I have Theresa Murphy from Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods. Theresa, how are you?
I'm very well, Brent. Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you making time to come on the Fort Erie podcast. Hey, can you share with listeners what is Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods? Let's start with that.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Strong Fort Erie Neighborhood, it's a community-based, not-for-profit volunteer organization, and it's located in the town of Fort Erie, obviously, and it's been incorporated since March 2020 as a not-for-profit. We really can envision a Fort Erie where everybody, all of our neighbors, live connected, healthy lives, and if that is possible, then we really see Fort Erie being a strong and resilient community. But we also understand that some people come to the game of life with some barriers, some challenges, and so we basically are responding to that. So our focus really is on poverty relief initiatives, We provide healthy meals. We provide fresh fruits and vegetables. We provide essential clothing, especially in the winter months for people. We collaborate with community crew and provide healthy lunches for our school children. And we provide personal care and hygiene products.
I'm glad you brought up community crew, because that's how I first got turned on to strong Fort Erie neighborhoods. I had to concede my ignorance when I had Stephen Cooper on the Fort Erie podcast to say, hey, you know what? I actually am not familiar with strong Fort Erie neighborhoods. Found out you were essentially, your organization is responsible for distributing the lunches from Community Crew. You're really the distribution chain here in town. And I was really surprised to find, you've made this much of an impact, having only been around, you mentioned Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods being founded March of 2020. I'm curious if there's a pandemic tie-in there, because the timing is that must have been tough to do some of these initiatives right at the start of the pandemic, no?
Yes, I'm glad you picked up on that. It just seems to be like it's ironic, really. Prior to us being incorporated officially, there was just a group of passionate people in Fort Erie who recognized the needs of our community and were involved in a feeding program. It was called Feeding Fort Erie. And so each Saturday there was a different meal happening in different public places in our neighborhood. And then Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods had a bunch of people thinking, for sustainability, we need to look at another model so that we could, be more strategic. And so that's why we began to get ourselves incorporated. And it just so happened that we were incorporated right when COVID hit. And of course, that's just gone up and up and up and up since then, our need for response. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that it happened then, so that we can actually respond to the needs post-COVID.
Yeah, that's a positive way of looking at it for sure. Now, you mentioned you were involved with Feeding Fort Erie, correct?
Right.
Right. Okay. So is that's how you became involved with Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods? Feeding Fort Erie was almost like a precursor to Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. And there was a number of other people involved, just interested in wanting to, some church organizations and just other volunteers in the community. And they just wanted to be involved in a meal for people in our neighborhoods.
And what is your role? Because I understand, Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods, you mentioned being a nonprofit, it's volunteer based. How many volunteers are we talking about? And what's your role within the organization?
Okay, so my role within the organization, I'm just a member on the board. We have a strong board. I guess I'm the chair of the board, you might want to call me. And basically, we're all volunteers. There's no paid positions with Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods. We have over 70 volunteers because we have teams of people to do different parts of what we are called to do. And so, yes, we're very structured and organized. We're really proud of that. We've worked hard, especially the COVID time. It gave us a chance to really work hard on our inner governance and that sort of thing. And that's how we respond. We have over 70 volunteers. We serve about between 175 and 180 meals every Wednesday out of 310 Central Avenue. It's a hall space that we work from. It's kind of the community center, I guess our neighbors would call it. They feel comfortable. They come in there. They're known by name. We get to know them. It's all kinds of really great stuff going on there besides just handing out, a meal or a personal product or getting them some essential clothing. It's all about relationships. Why we think that's really important is it's in the relationships that we build with the people. Like we have over 700 people registered with Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods that roll through our program. In some of the different areas. And then as we have the tangibles to give them, like the coat or the lunch, we also find out some of the other life barriers they have. And then what we also are really proud of is that we are working with engagement with all the other community agencies, like people who are paid and are to support Fort Erie residents. And so we've made connections with, let's say, like community living, for example, or Bridges Healthcare Center, for example. That's what I mean by other organizations who are here to serve. And so when people tell us their stories, we say, hey, you know what? You want us to help you connect with this place or that place, or we could do that for you. And then it's kind of like a nice soft handoff to the next level support.
Well, everything you've just shared with me has led me to, I was like jotting down questions here because it's your lead. It's kind of like Pandora's box. Like one answer leads to another question here because I find the work you're doing fascinating. Now, you mentioned on Wednesdays, serving 170, 180 meals, something in that range. I'm assuming that's in addition to the lunches via Community Crew as well, right?
Absolutely. The community cruise lunches are for the kids in the school.
Right.
So our team creates, I think it's about 450 lunches a week. It translates to about 18,000 lunches are being pumped out of 310 Central Avenue. And so we have volunteers making the lunches. Community Crew pays for all the lunches and all that. We just provide the volunteer work. And so our volunteers create the lunches. We follow Community Crew's lead of what is expected, and then our volunteers deliver the lunches to 3 of our different schools. Currently, there's 3 schools that we're delivering to.
Right.
Yeah, about 18,000 lunches in a school year.
Which is incredible, by the way. Now, the location at 310 Central, you referred to it as being like a community center, but that's a part of the church there. Is that right?
It is. It is St. Michael's. Okay, in the church world, it's known as St. Michael's Church Hall. But of course, because we're non-denominational, St. Michael's has provided us use of that space. So we sort of have a memorandum of agreement to use that space because that helps to fulfill their mission too. I mean, their mission is to serve those marginalized, those most in need, most vulnerable. But because we're non-denominational, we call it 310 Central Avenue. Got it.
So for the benefit of listeners, I mean, this is open to everybody. This is not, you say non-denominational. I mean, this is people in the community who have need, not tied to any specific denomination.
Absolutely, yes. It's not a faith-based program. It's a community program.
Now, when you mentioned, I want to probe a little more about some of the programs, some of the things you offer, and how people might be able to receive some of that aid. But I'm curious for whether it's a coat or personal hygiene products or food. Where do you get all these items? Where does that stuff come from?
Okay, so that's back again to building all these relationships with community donors, grants. United Way, those kinds of connections support our programs. For instance, United Way initially supported to get our personal products bank up and running. United Way currently helps to support our fruits and vegetables market that we do twice a month. We have donors that give us funds to be able to purchase the food for the lunches that we give out. So that's how it goes.
Okay. Now you've got 70, you said over 70 volunteers. Is that tough? Because you say none of them are paid positions. Everybody's a volunteer. So I'm thinking to coordinate that many volunteers, some of them surely must have jobs and families and other commitments that they have to work around. What does the scheduling look like? Like for maybe somebody who'd want to volunteer, who'd want to get involved, what kind of a time commitment would you need from them?
Well, again, it's very flexible. We do have a lead, like we have a volunteer who leads our volunteers, so I guess call her the volunteer lead. He makes the connections with the people, finds out what's their passion, what is their heart, what do they want to do? Are they interested in the meal? Are they interested in the market? Are they interested in personal products? Are they interested in we also have positions called ambassadors, so they're people just in the hall on our Wednesdays, just talking to people as they come in, calling them by name, getting to know them. We have people who register. As new people come to us, we register them just so that we can understand who they are. They can help in any way they want.
Okay. Well, I've got your website pulled up here. Do you actually want to share your website, your social media links? Where can people find you online?
To find us on our website, you're going to go to strongforterie.com.
Okay.
That's simple. To send us, if you get onto the website, if you're interested in volunteering, there's a volunteer tab. You just push it, you scroll down, and you can put your name in there, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Okay.
If you want to send us an email, we're strongforterie@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get us on Facebook too.
Okay, so Facebook and on the website. Now, I see we've talked a little bit about the food programs, the meals on a Wednesday, and I see that listed on the website, the food programs. You've mentioned things like, coats or some of the personal hygiene products, but a couple of them that really interested me here is the website also mentions age-friendly community supports. What is that all about?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically, age-friendly is that we also want to help relieve conditions associated with aging.
Okay.
Now, anybody who knows Fort Erie, and you can see what's going on around us, we're becoming kind of a retirement area, with Crystal Beach Ridgeway. And so with aging comes some barriers to some isolation barriers, there's mobility barriers, and there's even economic barriers as, people's incomes become less in their retirement years. So we also work with age-friendly network. There's a Niagara Regional age-friendly network, and the town has a senior advisory committee. And so we work together to see what we can do to make sure that our seniors are vibrant and they're involved and they're doing the best that they can do in that life stage. So that's what we do.
Okay. It also mentions tech and transportation services. So I'm curious about that one too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So again, like I say, sometimes when people come into our community center there, 310 Central Avenue, they need transportation. So we try to work with the town or with donors who will give us funding pass so that we can give passes to the people who need it to get to, medical appointments or just to get somewhere that they need to go, and they don't have the funds to be able to do it. So we'll help them with that. And then technology, when they come into our space, it is Wi-Fi friendly. And so if we have other community agencies with us, they can hook up to the Wi-Fi. For example, if the job gym is in there on a particular Wednesday and someone comes in, they can sit down with them, they can hook into our Wi-Fi and just work right away with them. So that's kind of how we help them with technology. And currently we're trying to get a handle on are people looking for opportunities to learn how to connect with either health or social services using the internet and using that. So we're just at the beginning of that, trying to figure out, do we need to offer some classes, some education for our neighbors around those kinds of things.
So I find it incredible what a wide spread of things that you do, because usually if I speak to somebody who's involved with a nonprofit, there's one or two things that they focus on doing, but you've got this sort of broad range of help available for the community.
Right. So our nonprofit, again, it's all based on poverty relief, and all those things tend to be barriers for people who are living with poverty. And so, between the food, the education, they don't have the technology, they don't have the funds for the transportation, it all funnels into our poverty relief focus.
So you mentioned if somebody wants to volunteer, they can go to the website. I think it's strongforterie.com, you said?
strongforterie.com, yes.
Right, and they can go through, there's like a volunteer application form almost on the website that they can complete. What about for somebody who needs help and maybe they don't have internet access and they're saying, man, I could really use some assistance here. How would they connect with Strong Fort Erie neighborhoods?
Well, a lot of it is word of mouth, and that's the beauty. We also have in our governance, we have a lived advisory committee. Basically, this is First Voice. These are people that we're serving. And they are actually, we call them together. There's about 10 of them, and they come together, and we get the scoop. What's happening out in our neighborhoods? Our programs, are they good? Do you have any suggestions? And they also help to inform us of what's going on out in the neighborhood. And they're really good. This is a beautiful thing about this community center, that it's emerging almost like a community hub. They share with each other. People are very good that way. They'll tell neighbors or they'll tell a friend, hey, have you heard about Strong Fort Erie neighborhoods? Or, do you know they have a meal on Wednesdays you can go to, or they might be able to help you with your utility bills or whatever it is, that connection piece. So that's kind of how it goes. It's all about relationships.
Okay, so word of mouth, somebody hears, hey, maybe I could get some assistance from Strong Fort Erie neighborhoods. And then is it Wednesday specifically, or when they'd come in on a Wednesday, they'd meet with you or somebody else and say, hey, here's my current situation. What resources are available to me? Is that sort of how it goes?
That's right. Our day of work for our neighbors, serving our neighbors, is Wednesday between 11:30 and 12:30. It's a huge hub of activity. It's awesome. So that's what I would say. Come to 310 Central Avenue on second, third, fourth, or fifth Wednesday at 11:30. Come on in, have a meal, sit down. If you need any help, we're there for you. If you just want to sit down and connect with other neighbors or connect with someone, we're in there to help with that social isolation piece, all those kinds of things that COVID has really brought to our neighborhoods.
one of the last things that I wanted to tackle here, and again, this is specifically from the website, is donations, because I see this is, one of the things I'm sure your organization always benefits from is donations. So there's more information about how to donate on the website. If somebody were to donate, say they were to donate $100, where would those funds go?
Okay. Well, they can direct the funds if they would like to. They can be specific to say, I only want it to go to the community meals, or I only want it to go to the fresh fruits and vegetables that you're paying for, or I want it to go for essential clothing, or they can just leave it to us. And then that helps us kind of direct it where it's most needed. That would be the best advice I would say. We would use it for all of those things.
Yeah, that makes sense to let you kind of make the decision. And there was a reason why I brought up donations last. And I told listeners at the start of today's episode that I wanted you on the phone for this because I had a big announcement I wanted to make here on the show. So it's Tuesday, October 10th, 2023 right now. It's the day after Thanksgiving. And just today, Theresa, I launched a merchandise store for the Fort Erie podcast. You're hearing this the exact same time listeners are. So when I say merchandise, I mean things like Fort Erie podcast t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, posters, phone cases, aprons, all that kind of stuff. I actually used to have a pile of printed t-shirts, like Fort Erie podcast t-shirts. I kind of just handed them out. I ran out. People were bugging me for more. So I thought, let's create an online store where listeners can shop and buy some merchandise. It's actually accessible right now. Listeners, you can go to theforteriepodcast.com. You can click the merch link at the top of the page. Or even if you follow me on social media, I'm at Buy with Brent everywhere. I'll be posting the links to the merch store later there today too. So that's kind of cool, right?
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Well, here's the thing, Theresa. I tried to keep the prices as low as I could on this merchandise. But every time an item is purchased, there is a little bit of margin. And the truth of it is, Theresa, I don't need that money. I consider myself very fortunate. And the way I look at it is that if somebody wants to wear merchandise and promote this show, that's already a win for me, right? So yeah. I was trying to figure out, Theresa, what I should do with that profit, the extra few bucks generated from every sale. And I was thinking maybe I could donate it somewhere. I was just wondering, right. Do you know any good causes right here in the town of Fort Erie, Theresa, that maybe could use some cash before the holidays?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you're talking to us. From Fort Erie neighborhood. We would so welcome that kind of a donation. And like I say, it's going to go to so many people. Like I say, we have over 700 people registered. We're getting more and more all the time with COVID. It'll be well used. Nobody's paid in our organization, so it's going 100% back in to our neighbors and for food security mostly. So that would be awesome.
And that's exactly why I want to help strong Fort Erie neighborhoods, because I love what you guys are doing. So here's how this is going to work, okay? From now until Christmas Day, so a little over 2 months from now, 100% of the proceeds from all the Fort Erie podcast merchandise sold is going to go directly to strong Fort Erie neighborhoods. Is that okay with you?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I wish I had one of those bells to ring, ding, ding, ding.
You know what? Maybe
people make donations.
maybe in like the post editing here, maybe I can add in one of those sound effects. But is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up our chat?
No, I just want to say and welcome all people. Come on over to 310 Central Avenue any Wednesday. It's the second, third, fourth, fifth Wednesday of the month. Together we can have a nice, strong, vibrant community.
The Fort Erie Podcast.
That's right, Fort Erie. You heard it here first. Today's big announcement, the Fort Erie Podcast online merchandise store is now open for business. It's available for you to start shopping. Items start at like 16, 17, 18 bucks. You can buy branded podcast t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, aprons, toques, trucker hats, buttons, cell phone cases, notebooks, bags, baby onesies, mugs. It's all there. It's all there. Taxes, shipping, and handling are extra, but those are out of my control. I really can't do anything about that. How do you access it, you ask? Well, I mentioned during the interview that you can go to theforteriepodcast.com and click the merch link at the top of the page. That's fine. You can do it that way, or you can just type right into your web browser. You can type in merch, MERCH, merch.theforteriepodcast.com Add stuff to your cart, checkout. It's as simple as that. Everything is custom printed on demand, so it takes up to a week for your purchases to actually ship out, but 100% of the proceeds from every purchase from this online store between now and Christmas Day, all of it will go to support strong Fort Erie neighborhood. So you can look sharp, get yourself some new apparel, promote this show, rep your favorite local podcast, and also support a great cause at the exact same time. Check it out, and happy shopping, Fort Erie. Thanks in advance for your support. That's our episode for today. Please give Strong Fort Erie Neighborhoods a follow on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Fort Erie podcast on iTunes and Spotify. Get your messages in on the Byrd Box, 289-599-2973. My guest for next week for episode 72 will be Christopher Schoenwald. Chris does not live or work in Fort Erie. In fact, he lives in Japan. So you might be wondering why I'm going to have him on the show. You're going to have to tune in to find out. Happy National Metric Day and goodbye.
You've been listening to the Fort Erie Podcast with your host, Brent Jones. Never miss an episode. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or visit theforteriepodcast.com.